guys. I never did breathing on stage, but I used to in musical. That was my high note. I sang at the end because I could sing it. It was I see. It was the end of Sound of Music. Yeah. I was the one that sang there because I could. So, thank you for that challenge.
Good morning. Good morning, friends. Hello. Welcome to Unity of Fort Collins. There's so much fun and loving energy out there. I hated to interrupt it. All right. Well, we have a big old day today. There's lots, not just today, there's lots of things going on at Unity of Fort Collins. I think I'll start. Mike, if you want to talk about our potluck today, our salad for the soul, that's an immediate kind of thing that we need to know more about. So, Mike?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's great to see everybody here. Excuse me. And sorry you won't be able to join there on the camera. So today is our potluck called Salad for the Soul. And this is basically a fundraiser that we're doing to supply a share of fresh vegetables for a low-income family next year. There's an organization called the Vegetable Connection that sets this up and really connects lots and lots of families. I think what I heard from Claudia is this summer there was 48 families that got a free share in the community. So what we at Unity do, we fundraise $650 is what the target is, and we'll be doing that for next year's share. It's about 20 to 22 weeks of fresh vegetables from one of the local CSAs. So it's right after our service. If you didn't bring anything, no problem. There's going to be plenty, and we'll eat what's available. If you did bring something and you volunteered and helped, thank you very much. Say again? A love offering, that's right. And so the donation will be a love offering, which is if you can donate, great. We'll have a place to donate as you're going through. And we'll be in the back there. We decided not to go outside today because it's a little cool and still a little wet in the back. So I'll probably, because there's other people that will be coming in, I'll make one quick announcement right at the very end of the service and get us started. So thank you.
Thanks, Mike. So Mike is on the outreach team. So some of you heard last week that the council had a retreat, and in keeping with our weird church idea, where the question Jim asked was, what if we're all leaders? What if we're all spiritual leaders? What if we are not a hierarchy? What if we are not a minister-centered church, but that we are a community that creates our own spiritual destiny, in essence, and that the community holds steady whether or not we have a new spiritual leader, that our spiritual home is us, and we join in that process of supporting our spiritual community. So the council was all over this idea, and we've been moving that way for a long time. It's definitely our weird church vision. It's not about a couple of ministers. It's about all of us. And we're totally grateful to have a lovely couple of ministers, but it's not all about them. It's about all of us. So we took a look at what teams we already had underway, which was a plethora, and we're going to beef up those teams, which is actually already happening. We did hear a couple of complaints about how many clipboards came last week. Sorry about that. We're going to slow down on the clipboards, but instead we have done a response form. So one paper form that I'd like you to take a look at, but the team that's on fire today is the welcome team. So those of you on the welcome team, would you please stand up? Yay, thank you. This is a smattering. The team is actually robust. So this is a smattering, but the group is thinking about what do we want it to feel like when somebody walks in our door? How do people feel welcomed? How do we get the information to them without trying to look like we're preying on, if somebody comes in, it's not I've been to new places and I'm like, hey, just checking you out. Keep your distance, boundaries a little bit here. So we want it to feel welcoming. We want you to have the information. We want you to know who to talk to and how to join up if you'd like. And we totally respect your process of checking us out and see whether this is a place that might be for you or not. So there are welcome packets under the welcome at the welcome table. We also ask if people want to identify them as a newcomer, and we'll make sure you have a packet. Kamina is headed in that direction. And some of us have name tags this morning, which is an idea that's going to spread. So the ones with name tags are ones currently serving on teams, but you'll notice on this sheet that you can ask for a new Unity of Fort Collins name badge, or if you'd like to know how to become a member of Unity at Fort Collins. And there are no hoops to jump for membership. If you know that you're a member, then you are. That's all it takes. And to sign a form that says, put me on the list. So it's not like a initiation. You don't have to qualify for membership. It's no pouncing, no hazing.
Voting.
Right. If you're a member, you are. Okay. So Nina has packets, and if anybody's a newcomer, if you'd raise your hand and you don't have a packet, she'll put one in your hand. Right there. Go for it. All right. We'll keep moving. Any other hands? Hands. We'll need those hands for the potluck. Good idea. Okay. So if you're so inclined, please fill out the form. If you're inclined to join a team, we'd love to have you. And it's all your choice. That's great. The welcome team also put together a new lunch bunch brochure because Unity members go out to lunch after the service, and you're welcome at any time to join us. All right. I'm looking for Leanne Allen. Leanne. Oh, today was going to be Leanne Allen's last day with us. She is moving to be closer to family. So, Leanne, we love you.
What was going to be her last day? She's going to actually be here on the 25th.
Oh, okay. We're going to have a party. So never mind. We still love you today, Leanne. And on the 25th, we'll love you in person.
Even more.
All right.
Oh,
Right.
don't tell her. Maybe she's not watching.
Yeah. All right. At the potluck, we've got a couple of kids things, lots of things going on with our youth and family teams. There's a practice, choral practice. There's a children's choir underway. So that'll be at 11:15 today in the Sunshine Room. And Friday night is kid and family night. So if you need a hit of kid energy, come play. Okay. For those online, Monday night was going to be the first Monday night connection meeting to try and create an online group for the online community members. And Sharon realized that it's a Bronco Monday. So we're not stupid. Enjoy the Broncos game. We'll postpone the community meeting. Okay, I think maybe I have done this. Let's take a big old deep breath. Our unity centers us in light and peace, allowing us to recognize our God within and to radiate that love to the world.
From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains are white. From a distance, the ocean meets the stream, and the to flight. From a distance there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of everyone. From a distance we all have enough, and no one is in need. There are no guns, no bombs, and no disease, no hungry mouths to feed. From a distance we are instruments marching in a common band, playing songs of hope, playing songs of peace. They're the songs of everyone. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance. From a distance, you look like my friend, and even though we are at war, from a distance, I just can't comprehend what all this fighting is for. From a distance, there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the heart of everyone. It's the hope of hopes, it's the love of loves, it's the song of everyone. God is watching us, God is watching us, God is watching us from a distance.
Hi, I got here a little late, so I don't have the name tag, but I'm Holly. Hi. I signed up to talk today thinking it would be, a day that has a lot of meaning for different people, for things that have happened today in different ways. One of them being my friend Lee, it's her birthday. So, hi Lee. And as I think about a reading, I was thinking about what I pull inspiration from when I'm having a hard time and when I feel anger at someone or something for doing something I don't understand why they would have chosen that, whether it's personal or on a national level. Anger comes when we disagree, right? And so I have a number of quotes to read for you. One of them, Buddha says, anger is the punishment we give ourselves for someone else's mistake. And I would add in there, and for some of our own. And it's easy to get lost there in the frustration. And I think it's important to acknowledge those feelings, but not to get stuck there, because it's not a way I want to live. I used to be really angry, and I learned that I don't want to live there. So, as I search for inspiration and breath, and ways to forgive myself for crying when I feel intensely, especially in public. One of the things that I do is I search for purpose. How can I make it better? How can I find ways to understand the other and feel less of that anger and more compassion and be heard and stand right for the microphone? And one of the people that I read was Viktor Frankl, and looking at ways that we find purpose in life, that we can get outside of ourselves and not get lost in a difficult moment. And so he studied how people survived through things like the Holocaust. And one of the answers from this beautiful short little book was finding something to live for, to look forward to, a purpose that gave you a sense of self and movement forward. Hannah Arendt looked at the same time frame and ways that we as nations betray each other or as people, and she said, we seek to look at promises and forgiveness. I promise I'll do better next time. Please forgive me. Let me try again. The Dalai Lama says, find the joy. And it's easy not just to get lost in anger, but to get lost in things being too serious and tense and hard. And so remembering that we get more of what we focus on. How can I find more joy? How can I bring more joy? How can I stand up and face something that might be uncomfortable? And my dad reiterated this for me as he was coming out of the hospital, saying, you know, I was saved for a reason. Part of that is to live my best life, to bring my best self, to find the joy in life. And so, yes, I'll talk with you about the hard stuff, but let's also have some fun. One of my teachers said, give to the good. He was an ambassador in war-torn countries, and I said, how do you keep motivated to keep doing this stuff when you see the hard that we can do to each other? And he said, because I want to give to the good. Even if we don't reach all the goals before my lifetime is over, I don't want to make it easier for those who aren't, who are working for things that hurt the other. I want to give to the good. And so with those perspectives of the other, thinking of walking in their shoes helps us have more compassion, to find what we have in common. And that compassion is sort of the key for me to forgiveness. I may have been really hurt and really angry in a moment, but if I can try to walk in their shoes and see why that would have been the choice they made, thoughtfully, with their feeling, trying to do their best, let's give them the benefit of the doubt for the moment, right? Under what circumstances, then I ask myself, would I have made that choice? Would I have accidentally cut you off in traffic? Would I have chosen to say those mean words? And so a practice that I wanted to share with you is when somebody does that, when that train horn goes off at 3 o'clock in the morning when I just got my toddler to sleep and the train goes by my house, or somebody does cut me off in traffic, or I'm trying really hard to focus on something and my kid wants my attention and is going to get between me and that computer and I'm feeling that anger, I think, under what circumstance would I have made that choice? What silly story can I come up with where I can embody the person in that car? They spilled their coffee. They just heard that their partner is in labor. With the train, at first I thought, maybe they're getting a divorce and their partner lives here and they're just expressing themselves. And then I thought, okay, no, we can do better. Maybe their kids are here and they have to work and they miss them and they're pulling it to say, I'm here and I love you. Right? And that brought more joy. And then every time the train whistle went by, I would share it with the neighbor that was also cussing about it. And we would laugh. And we would forgive. And so I feel like forgiveness is also a gift we give ourselves, because carrying that anger hurts so much. And so if you can remember when you reach that point, to try to think of walking in their shoes and a silly story under which you might have made that choice, we can come together better. So, thank you.
out of pain and human need, there grew a bloom that proved to be stronger than the darkness. Within the rubble there shone a light far beyond our human sight. There was an ember that could not be put out. There was kindness and mercy, forgiveness and compassion as we reached out to hold each other's hands. There was giving and caring, something greater we were sharing. From the ashes there grew a seed of love. From despair there grew a tree out of hurt, community. Well, it was mighty and it was strong, offering its shelter. From the desert there sprang to life a place of refuge amidst the fight. A little healing that proved more powerful than fear. Yeah, there was kindness and mercy, forgiveness and compassion as we reached out to hold each other's hands. There was giving and caring, something greater we were sharing. From the ashes there grew a seed of love. Now we won't forget the heroes, the strangers we now know, but we'll honor them always, planting seeds wherever we go. Let there be kindness and mercy, forgiveness and compassion as we reach out to hold each other's hands. Let there be giving and caring, something greater we were sharing. From the ashes, let's grow a seed of love. From the ashes, let's all grow a seed of love. A seed of love.
I guess I do need to turn this thing on, don't I? Oh, it's on. Oh, it's been on the whole time. I'm glad I wasn't. Glad I wasn't singing. Hope I wasn't anyway. Thank you all. That was absolutely beautiful. And Holly, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, that song was actually chosen by Reverend Sharon, and she pointed it out for me, and it's amazing. If I'm telling this right, Sharon, it was a Unity minister that wrote that the day after 9/11. Was that true? Yeah, it's absolutely just chilling. I loved it. It was beautiful. Well, after what Holly said, she gave the class, and it's great. Thank you so much. You guys are going to understand maybe a little bit more about this. The class is called Behind and Beyond the Symbol, and the symbol today is on forgive. I'm going to have to admit, though, that this presentation was really, really difficult for me to put together. I couldn't figure out why. I spoke to Ann probably 6 weeks ago and said, oh yeah, I'll do it on the 11th. And on, I'm going to do on forgiveness. This is going to be great. So I thought about it and I've worked with it for weeks. But then when it got down to the, okay, let's get serious and let's just get this thing down on paper now, nothing. Not only was there nothing, it was terrifying. But so my process normally is I don't know, probably a lot of you do the same type thing. I go to sleep, I wake up in the morning, and in between that time of sleep and wakefulness, there's that little bit of time there that things just come through beautifully, and I love that period of time. I usually will do like a meditation or something. All right, so okay, got it cool, got it fine, I'm going to put this all together. So I did that, and I would work with it, during the day, and then the next morning I'd have a completely different class. I mean, it was completely different. This went on for about 2 weeks until Friday morning, 2 days ago. I thought, I got to get this thing together. This is getting to be an issue. And it didn't come together until yesterday. And I couldn't figure out why. What was so difficult for me? And I came to it. It's a very difficult subject to talk about. I didn't want to say things that might hurt someone or make someone angry. I didn't want to sound, what my word would be. I just didn't want to sound like I wasn't caring enough, but I didn't want this big soppy thing going on, So it was really a very difficult thing to do for me today, and I apologize. But, well, no, I'm not apologizing at all. It's just the way it is. All right. I also realized that life is truly going to give you all of the learning material and all the materials that you need. And the fact that we make it personally hard, which is what I was doing, that personally hard was actually winding up to be the solution of the problem. Because then I had to take the inner, deeper look at it. And I got stuck, I got intimidated, but I got through it. Michael Beckwith says that life pushes you until your vision pulls you. And I really find that statement to be very comforting. Because to me, it means that one, I've asked for it in some way, maybe not on a conscious level that I'm aware of, but there's something there that I'm needing and requesting. And then two, there's a plan. I like that idea a lot. There's something going on a lot higher than me, and there's a plan to this. I can live with those two things. Michael Singer says that if we pay attention and become a witness in our life, we're provided with everything we need, and that life is a brilliant teacher. Now, obviously, I'm probably paraphrasing a lot. But anyway, we would love for our lives to be smooth and painless, but I do think that we can get there. I think that is a part of our evolving, and as we do evolve and as we grow spiritually, our life does become a little bit easier, a little less stressful. Things happen smoothly because we're listening to our inner selves a little bit more. We've all heard the quote from Einstein that says, a problem cannot be solved at the same level as it was created. We obviously have to change our focus. We have to go to a higher level of understanding to be able to solve our problems. We can see what happens when we focus on the problem. We make the problem bigger. We create a larger problem for ourselves. In my frustration over the last couple of weeks, the more I got frustrated, the more closed off I felt from everything I was trying to achieve and do and feel and see and hear. It takes that going to another level of opening up. Things like war on drugs. What's happened with the war on drugs? Drugs have gone out of proportion for selling, for using, for everything. Those ideas just perpetrate more of the same. Christ says that he came not to bring peace, but a sword. I never liked that comment or statement when I was in church, in a Baptist church as a kid. It always scared me. I didn't like it. But what does it actually mean? I think what it means, what I personally see that it means, is that we have to be willing to cut away all the old. We have to completely be able to take that part of ourselves and cut away that old thinking, the old way of seeing person, place, and thing, for a higher and better understanding, which would be Christ's teachings. In order to see Christ's teachings, we have to be willing to give up the teachings and the thoughts that we've had up until that point. I used to believe that in order to really evolve, I had to destroy my ego, actually. But I don't think that's true. Because I recognize my ego is a big, important part of me. And it has to be lifted, and it has to be merged with my higher self. I guess, and it's probably some of the teachings back in the Baptist church, that it was the devil waiting for me. And I hear that so much, especially in East Tennessee. I heard it a lot. The devil's doing this to me, you know. Well, okay, all right. I'm sorry about that. I hate that for you. I feel like, you know, my ego is working hard to protect me and keep me safe from what it fears the most, the unknown, or what would appear to the ego as death. It's not trying to hurt me. It's just simply a misunderstanding of what truth is and what it is. We simply need to retrain ourselves. My ego is screaming, but I can't find a better way to make this point than to tell a personal life story, which I said I wasn't going to do, and I fought with it for a couple of weeks. This isn't my most comfortable thing to do, but it covers the points pretty well. So please bear with me for a minute. And send love, not sympathy. Okay, please. The only reason that this story that I'm about to say and tell you is, and I want to share, it's because this one life event in my childhood had a tremendous effect on my life up until my middle age. I'm still there, anyway. I tried very hard not to fall victim to this event and to make it my story, because intellectually I knew better. It was an experience. It happened. And while it's all true, and emotions are the true driving force, I'd never learned to tame those wild horses until I did. I was born prematurely with health issues. Doctors told my parents that I wouldn't live. Don't bother to take her home. Don't get attached to her. So they didn't. I wound up in the hospital in a care facility until I reached my first birthday. No. Love. I'm going to be another Holly up here if you don't send love. We don't want two of those today, right, Holly? All right. So I guess they figured out I was going to live. She's going to make it. What the hell do we do with Nancy now? All right. So my parents came and they bailed me out and took me home. It had to be so hard on them. And they probably felt that they had adopted this kid that they weren't even really sure they wanted. And it felt pretty obvious to me throughout my childhood. Get that look off your face, girl. I tried to make everything okay in the family. That was what I thought my role was in the family. I was going to make everything okay. I was overcompensating to prove that I was worthy of their love. Things blew up one day when I was 9 years old. It was a summer. I had had surgery. I was in a wheelchair at the time. I was outside with my friends, and we were trying to figure out what we could do. I was giving them rides in my lap in the wheelchair around the block for $0.25. That was a lot of fun until they ran out of quarters. What was I going to do then? So we decided we were going to work on some arts and crafts. We made a lot of those. People here probably know the looms that you made little pot holders out of. All right, we made tons of those things. And then we painted little tiles and made those for coasters, et cetera, et cetera. We were so proud of our items, we put them all in a box. We started selling them door to door in the neighborhood. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. We did great. We sold all of our wares, made some money, split it all up. We were all pretty happy about our entrepreneurship. That was until later in the day, when a neighbor obviously had called my mother, and being oblivious to anything happening until Dad showed up from work early. That can't be good. So, I figured that my younger brother, Mark, had really messed up big time. Couldn't have been me. Had to be Mark. My parents, needless to say, were beyond angry with me and my business venture. They were embarrassed. They were humiliated beyond compare. They were frustrated and so much more. Their daughter, in a wheelchair, begging from their neighbors, door to door. Oh, the shame, the shame. Get out the smelling salts, Mom's going to faint. So I'm sure they were ready to make a run for it out of the neighborhood in the middle of the night. Well, Dad wheeled me into the house, removed his belt, and took 9 years of rage and fury out on me. Mom walked in, and she walked out without saying a word. I refused to cry, and that made him madder. But I remembered looking in my dad's eyes and could see his frustration and his fear. And I knew at that moment, without a single doubt, my parents would never be able to see me in any other way than a burden to them. I looked at Dad and I said, "If it makes you feel better, hit me again." He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He absolutely dropped the belt and burst into tears. My presence broke him, and he never raised his hand to hit me again. That moment was life-changing, not only for me, but for my dad. Not because of the beating so much as the complete understanding at that point in my little 9-year-old brain anyway, that I was truly, truly alone. My takeaway from that event in my 9-year-old brain, again, my 9-year-old mind, my 9-year-old thinking, was that I was a burden and that I didn't deserve to be loved. And if I was going to be loved, I had to earn it. I don't think at 9 I could have done it any differently than that. I couldn't have seen it any differently, I guess. I tried endlessly to earn love, but it didn't quite get there. There's a come around to the story, so don't get there. Don't go too bad on it. Michael Singer would refer to this type of a drama and wound as a subscar. It goes deep. It carries a lot of hurt and pain and emotion. That was why I didn't want to do the talk today. Forgiving is such a deep emotional thing at times. And it's so difficult to understand. It's so difficult to be able to experience in our world with the things that just feel so painful. And how do we get ourselves above and beyond that so that we can become the observers in our life without feeling like we're cold and heartless, but yet not get into the pain of all of it? Is that making sense to you? That was my dilemma. I couldn't see it it was only an experience with purpose, but I couldn't see it that way at the moment, and I don't think my parents saw it that way either. I can't speak for them, obviously. My life carried on with a pretty normal childhood, and nobody, including me, really saw what was happening. But I will say, I never did door-to-door sales again. Now, how I viewed myself in my life from that point forward was based on this one lifetime experience and takeaway. It became a core belief for me, and I think we all have that. I think we have our core beliefs that just keep showing up in infinitum variety of ways. That was my core belief. It became so strong that I carried it with me for the next 40 years. I need to insert something here. Sharon and I were talking. Sharon, I'm going to bring you up here. Talking in a divine audacity class one night about grieving, and we got into forgiving a little bit. And I made a comment along the lines that there's a process, and that I think it's important not to stay in that process too long because we can begin to make it our story and our victim consciousness. And Sharon said that she thought that the process needed to be as long as the process needed to be. Each individual has to do their own process. And I can understand that. But 40 years? Really? Okay. Life gave me so many opportunities over the next 40 years to go beyond and behind and beyond, and see what was hiding in the dark. I didn't have the understanding to do it, though. I couldn't see what was right in front of my face. The embarrassing part is I had been in the study for over 20 years, but I was leaving out a really important part of the equation: emotions. Everything I was trying to do, I was trying to control, and I was trying to control it through intellect. I was going to seminars, I was doing classes, I was teaching, I was doing all that stuff. I didn't understand my emotions. Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches that our thoughts are electric. We send out thoughts continuously. We sing every Sunday our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what we're praying. our thoughts are saying. Our thoughts are prayers. And they are prayers. But the emotions are the magnets that bring everything back to us. So our thoughts and our emotions must be congruent in order to have the manifestations to the things that we're wanting, the desires that we're wanting in our lives. The feeling of not being lovable, not deserving, always being a burden, was presenting in my life continuously. They shone through all of my attempts to be perfect. Try to keep everybody happy. I was the peacemaker everywhere. Working multiple jobs, please give me another job. Yeah. And, because that was trying to prove my worthiness. I belonged here, and I had a reason to be here. I was a great helicopter mom. My kids couldn't do anything without mom knowing about it. Well, at least I thought anyway. Always either angry or clinging with my husband because I knew he was going to leave me. I didn't deserve to have a happy marriage or to have to be loved. So I pushed him out. It didn't work. It still hurt like hell. Anyway, needless to say, I was a hot mess. I was trying desperately to control and make my life what I thought it was supposed to be via intellect and force. I reached a point where I felt completely vacant, numb, and I had no direction at all. So what do you think happened at that point? Anybody want to guess? A little tiny space opened. And when we open that little tiny space, what happens? A flood can come through, can't it? So a shift of absolute gigantic proportions came through. I received a phone call from Mom and Dad to tell me that Dad had been diagnosed with lung cancer and they were needing my help. I was in Florida at the time. My first thought was, no, I don't think so. Since my divorce, my parents have been telling me that I need to come home. After all, since your marriage failed, it's just confirming that we're right. You don't know what you're doing in life, blah, blah, blah. So I told them I'd think about it, and I'd let them know. I slept on the idea and woke up the next morning knowing I had to go. I knew I couldn't change my parents or how my parents saw me, but I was going to get through this karma crap if it was the last thing I did. Great attitude, right? So 2 weeks later, I'm driving a U-Haul to East Tennessee with my golden retriever, Sandy, out the passenger window. Funny story, my mom couldn't stand dogs. And I was going to be living in her house. Revenge. Little ego, I know, but okay. My plan was to be there approximately 6 months. But I wound up staying 22 years. Not at Mom's house. Oh, no. Dad was pretty independent, but Mom fell apart and stayed upstairs in her bedroom. Dad wasn't really bedridden until about 2 weeks before he died. And he was only incontinent for about the last few days. And you guys really need to know that, don't you? Being responsible for his needs, though, included cleaning him, changing his linens, and all of that. And I knew he really was very uncomfortable with this. So I tried to be gentle, and I gave him his privacy and dignity as much as I possibly could in that situation. And as I was changing him one day, I looked into his eyes. And I recognized the same fear that I had witnessed as a 9-year-old in a wheelchair. Dad was terrified of me. He was scared to death of me. When I saw what was happening, it dawned on me that our roles had now been reversed. He was the vulnerable one, and he knew it, and it scared him. Karma buster! So when I saw what was happening, I kissed his forehead, and I told him that I would never hurt him. I told him I loved him, and I told him I forgive him. The tears streamed. That was the second time I saw my dad cry. My dad was not a bad person. He was simply not in a place that he could do it differently. If he had been, he would have. He didn't have the tools or the understanding at that point. And he had obviously been carrying as much pain probably as I had been carrying guilt-wise for those same 40 years. The fact that I carried it for 40 years was my problem, not his. Had nothing to do with him. I'm the one that held on to that. I'm the one that created the story with it. We both forgave. We healed with a kiss and a tear. A shift in consciousness for sure. We fulfilled a big, major contract in our lives. Say it with me. Karma buster! All right. The true purpose of the madness, the split mind, isn't to show us that it's right, but to push us to find more, the deeper, deeper understanding. We have to change the word. I need water. Excuse me. There. All right. It does move. All right. We have to give up the word for, well, we have to not give it up. We have to look at the word forgive. Think of it in your head because I don't have it. Switch them around. Forgive for. We have to be willing to give up, to release, to allow all that we think we know about a person, a place, a thing, a happening, an object. All of it has to go. All of it has to go. Because only then can we open that door enough that truth, that oneness, that purpose, that love, that change, that shift can come in. So we're giving up the old for the new understanding. We have to let that space in there. As long as we're staying angry, as long as we're staying hurt, as long as we're living our stories over and over and over again, we aren't letting the space open. We aren't letting the light in. We're closing ourselves. The great thing about this process is that as we unravel something in one area, it unravels quickly in other areas. Because I said before, it's usually just a few core issues that have just been entangled in so many things. So as soon as we let go of that one, we find that all sorts of things just start coming forth for us. We forgive ourselves. We give up all of these ideas and all of this prior understanding for higher truths within ourselves. Okay, I've already said that. But why does that happen? This is kind of important. The pain is no longer hiding from view. That's what I've found to be true for me. The pain is no longer hiding in view, from view. Once exposed, it's gone. It's gone. It really is. It can't handle the light, can it? We still remember the experience. Thank you, Sharon, because I didn't agree with that one at first either. I thought we had to forget the experience. No, we don't have to forget the experience. It just will not carry the emotional power that it once had. The only way I could stand up here without falling apart was because it doesn't carry the emotional power anymore for me. Okay? It doesn't. Eventually, we can let the memory go. That is true forgiving. And that's what we're all seeking. Namaste.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Listen to what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is everywhere. And every thought's indeed a prayer.
By the way, I love the rug. Thank you, Claire. It's gorgeous. All right, take time for meditation for a moment. This is going to be, I'm not going to really guide this one a lot. Am I on? I'm not on. Am I on? Okay. I'm not going to guide this one along a lot. I want you just to go inside, and I just want you, I'll give you a little bit of a short mantra. Get comfortable. Close your eyes and try to relax. As you're relaxing, I want you to feel a warm energy flow from the bottom of your feet all the way through your body. Feel it rising through your body. And feel it coming to the top of your head. Feel the energy relaxing through your shoulders, through your arms, to the tips of your fingers. Enjoy the warmth. I want you to play with me for just a second. I want you to take this energy and I want you to put it in your left hand. Feel it in your left hand. Are you feeling a tingling? Are you feeling warmth? Pay attention and focus on that. Now move it to your right hand. Feel that connection. This is your connection to Source. I want you to silently repeat after me. I am Source moves freely through my body. I am Source moves freely through my body. Allow your body and mind to merge with your higher energy and just relax for a moment and enjoy. There is only one, and so it is.
May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate our hearts now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon you. May God's peace abide in you. May God's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of God rest upon us. May God's peace abide in us. May God's presence illuminate our hearts now and forevermore. Now and forevermore. Now and forevermore.
I got lost in the meditation. Ah, that's so sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Holly. There's a gift to having people tell their stories and show us their real feelings. I feel honored to be in the presence of authentic forgiveness and love. If you take your offering, may the ushers come forward, please. Take your offerings and hold them in your hand with all that energy, or your heart. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Someday, somewhere, we'll find a new way of living. We'll find a way of forgiving. Somewhere, there's a place for us. Somewhere, a place for us. Peace and quiet and open air wait for us somewhere. There's a time for us. Someday, a time for us. Time together with time to spare. Time to learn, time to care. Someday, somewhere, we'll find a new way of living. We'll find a way of forgiving. Somewhere. There's a place for us, a time and place for us. Hold my hand and we're halfway there. Hold my hand and I'll take you there. Somehow, someday, somewhere. No little lights this morning. And Jim actually came up with that as a name for the group. So we're going to be calling our little children's choir the Little Lights. But right now we have a special treat. It's that special girl. Don't talk yourself down. You are very special.
It's the second Sunday of the month, which means that it's birthday Sunday. And we love to sing to those who have a birthday during the month of September. So if you would please come up here, we'd love to sing to you. Okay, no
Not
takers.
one.
But wait, there's me.
See, you are special.
My name is Joellen, and it's the 8th.
Woo.
Richard! Another
Richard? Come on down, Richard.
Ralph.
Oh,
Oh, yes,
and
Ralph and I.
Ralph. Oh,
Ralph and I and Bernie Sanders have the same birthday.
And Richard? Way
Richard.
back in the book. What day, Richard? When?
Okay. Sometime, someday in September. Somewhere.
Someday.
Today. Okay, great.
Today.
And we have the same. Say your name and
Ralph Knox.
Ralph Knox. Okay. September 8th.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear beloveds. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah. Let's circle up for the peace song and the prayer of protection. Yes. So 2 thoughts. If you have a name tag, leave it in the basket on the table. And let's don't forget the potluck. And if you didn't bring food, really, 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 truly, come join us anyway. There's always enough. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Okay, for the potluck, salad for the soul, what we'll be having you do is go through the kitchen, and there's a small room in there. That's where the salads and the food is.